Today, we're going to talk about something called the certainty trap. It's this fascinating idea that being too sure you're right, well, it might actually be the very thing stopping you from getting any smarter. But first, let me just kick this off with a question for you. What if the single biggest thing holding you back from learning and growing is just believing you're already smart enough? You see, what psychology shows us is that real intelligence isn't just about what you know. It's about how you think. And that simple little shift, that's where our story begins. So welcome to the certainty trap. Let's imagine someone for a minute. We all know this person. Heck, sometimes it's even us. They're good at what they do, they know their stuff, and they feel absolutely 100% certain about their views. But what they don't realize is that their certainty, it's become a cage. So what's the first bar on this cage? It's a funny little glitch in our brains called the overconfidence bias. This is what happens when knowing just a little bit about something tricks you into feeling like you know everything about it. It creates this illusion of complete clarity. You feel like an expert, but you can't even see the huge gaps in your own knowledge. And that little voice inside the head of someone caught in this trap, it sounds a lot like this. Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? I know I'm right about this. That feeling of total, unshakable certainty, that's the bias talking. That's its signature move. Okay, so what happens when our character's world gets a little shaken up? We're going to look at 5 specific habits. Think of them as 5 cracks that start to appear in their armor of confidence, slowly showing them the trap they've been in all along. The very first crack is rigid thinking. This is the deep-seated belief that sticking to your guns is a sign of strength, of intelligence. Our character sees changing their mind as a kind of weakness, but as we're about to find out, it's actually the exact opposite. You can practically hear them thinking, changing my opinion is a sign of weakness. I'm sticking with it. But here's the thing. That isn't about having strong convictions. It's about ego. The research is so clear on this. Truly intelligent people are the ones who update their beliefs when they get new information. Being rigid just stops you cold. Now for the second crack, oversimplification. The world is messy, it's complex, but for our character, it's way more comfortable to see things in simple black and white. This habit is really just a sign of shallow thinking, a refusal to really engage with any of the messy details. Their go-to phrase might be something like, look, the answer is simple. It's either always this way or never that way. That kind of absolute language, using words like always and never, that's a huge red flag. Because real intelligence, real understanding, lives in the gray areas. And that leads us directly to the third crack, a lack of curiosity. Curiosity isn't just some personality quirk, it's literally the engine of intelligence. Without it, your brain just stops expanding. It gets comfortable with what it already thinks it knows. Our character might be thinking, why bother asking how or why? I already get it. I know what I need to know. But asking those very questions is how you go from just repeating slogans to having a deep understanding. If you think you know enough, you stop learning. It's really that simple. All right, now for crock number 4, and this one might be the most important of all. It's the habit of blaming others. When something goes wrong, the fault is always out there somewhere, and that reflex makes personal growth pretty much impossible. Their immediate reaction is to say, it wasn't my fault. If they had just done their part, this would have worked. But, constantly pointing the finger outward prevents you from ever looking inward. And this is the exact moment when our character finally starts to get that. This brings us to a huge turning point in our story. Let's call it the mirror of metacognition. After one more predictable failure, our character finally stops looking around for someone else to blame. And for the first time, they look at the only common denominator in all of their problems, themselves. So the whole thing boils down to this shift in focus. On one side, you have the old mindset, blaming others. That's an external focus, where you're basically a victim of what's happening around you. But on the other side, you have self-reflection. That's an internal focus, where you suddenly have agency, you have the power to change things. And the tool that makes this shift possible is metacognition. It's a big word, but it's a powerful idea. It's simply the ability to analyze your own thinking and your own behavior. It's like stepping outside of yourself for a second to just watch how you operate. This is the key that unlocks the certainty trap. So the lock has been picked. The cage is open. What comes next? In this final section, we'll see how our character and how you and I can start building a smarter, much more flexible mindset. It all comes down to taking those 5 negative habits and turning them completely upside down. So instead of rigid thinking, you consciously update your beliefs. Instead of oversimplifying, you embrace nuance. Instead of a lack of curiosity, you start asking more questions. And instead of blaming others, you practice self-reflection. And the whole thing starts with one courageous first step, daring to doubt your own conclusions. Because what our character is finally learning is that true intelligence has nothing to do with appearing smart. It's not about winning every argument or always having the perfect answer ready to go. Instead, real intelligence is about these 3 things: the ability to think clearly, the flexibility to adapt when new information comes along, and maybe the most important one, just having the courage to be willing to question yourself. Our character's journey isn't over. They haven't suddenly become perfect, but they've made the most important shift. They now understand that the journey from certainty to curiosity, that's the real lifelong path to growth. And so that brings us to our final question. And this one's for you. Think about one thing you feel absolutely certain about. What if you're wrong? Which one of your own beliefs are you willing to question today?